Okay, we have a two problem here. Fredericton police prepare to arrest those violating emergency declaration order. And this is a new setup for me, so is that on? You want to be with me, you're not. Go see yourself CBC website somewhere. Oh, that's right, they're not around. The host is. The site is still around. Okay, so we know about what's going on about cracking down and let's see if I could get Roger. I'm contacting the chief of police, Roger Brown, and he's going to discuss with me on the issue of people allowed to walk. Can people be allowed to go outside? There. I think we got it. Okay.
Is Charles there, please?
Yes. How you doing, you?
Good, by you?
Good, good. You're online. I'm having technical difficulty here.
I can't believe you have technical difficulty.
Here we go. This should be really good, huh? This is the first time we ever talk over the phone.
I know. It's not the same.
No, no, it's not the same at all. We can't have the arms moving and hitting on the shoulder or the stomach or whatever. But we will survive. Okay.
We will.
So, are the citizen in Fredericton... So, what's this headline on CBC? Fredericton police prepare to arrest those violating emergency declaration order is on the CBC website.
Yeah, taken out of context.
Out of context? I thought only bloggers did that.
No, boy. Listen, I'll tell you how that happened, or what it was. I just did an update to City Council last night, and what I said to City Council, and the same thing I'll say to you in the beginning, is this is a medical health crisis, and every one of us need to do the same thing to try and keep this under control, and that is to deal with distancing, isolation, being cautious, and the like. There's a certain nucleus of people who are, who don't go along with that, and who are probably in a position to say they're just not going to comply regardless. And what I said was, should we be put in a position where we have somebody who is blatantly going against what the chief medical officer is saying, then we have to be in a position to act accordingly. Then what I went on to say was, the role of the police in this case is not first responders. Medical people are first responders. Our job is to support them in trying to bring this under control. So our job then is to try and encourage people to comply with, educate people as to the reason why they should comply. But if it comes down to a point where you have, I'll just say, for example, a business who flatly refuses to shut down, opens their doors to large numbers of people, where we know this could be potentially problematic for the spread, then we would be in a position, and we could, if that was the case at that time. And what I did say then was, when you have a medical, when you have a state of emergency per se, you do
I don't like this. I'm letting you talk there.
Oh yeah, but that's the way.
Okay, never mind. Are you reading from a strip?
No, I'm walking around my desk. I don't have a script. Listen, I've never had a script in my life.
Yeah, you got that one right. Okay.
Yeah.
DOG, and Charles LeBlanc walks around the two bridges for a walk. What happens there?
Right. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. No, listen. One of the things that people are encouraged to do is to stay healthy physically and mentally, and you do that in a manner that is responsible, right? So we don't want to see groups of 10, 15, 20 people hanging out together, shoulder to shoulder, and, that's not socially responsible. If you're going to go on the bridge for a walk...
As long as I keep 6 feet away from people, and I don't do the Roger Brown style or the Charles LeBlanc style, I just
No issue.
I just walked,
No
right?
issue. That's right. Absolutely. And you know what? I could leave this office right now, which I have, walk down Main Street, no issue. If I pass someone, you give the proper distance, you deal with it from that. We've had police officers who had to go help people when they go to calls. We do it. We go. We are responsible. They are responsible. We ask the questions if they've been somewhere, if they have been in contact with, if they're feeling sick or whatever. This is all about, the whole issue with this, why it's gone a little sideways. This is all about being responsible.
Be responsible.
Right?
But,
That's right.
But we're dealing here with Fredericton here, and that's a different avenue. Don't answer that. Okay, so we got a rat line and a sniff line. A snitch, sniff. Yeah, that's about it. They sniff you out, then they then they snitch on you.
But all that
So
is,
what is that now?
What that is, I'll tell you what that is, Charles, and it's actually really simple, and I'll tell you it's a good idea, and here's why. What it is people who are responsible people, not irresponsible, people who are responsible and are looking out for me and you and others, instead of trying to call the police or instead of trying to call 911 to report issues...
That Charles LeBlanc is talking to somebody and he's too close.
Right. Now, if they call those in, they're just taken in from an information perspective, and they're all dealt with accordingly. Now, what that means is, if it's about, I saw two people walking, hand in hand down Main Street and talk to another two people, what are you going to do about that? We're not there. Now, if it's different, though, if they said, which was the case here one day, a couple of days ago, that a business refused to close. And that business attracted a lot of teenagers. And that was a place where everybody was in violation because they were all close quarters. They're all playing together.
Games. I think we know where it is.
Exactly. So you know what? That one was dealt with.
Why?
I have no issue with that.
Why would a person like that have his business remain open?
He shouldn't, and it was closed. But that was the issue, though, Charles, that, we are trying to make. This is not about hampering people's,
You know yourself, Roger. You know yourself, Roger. There's a lot of people that have way too much time on their hands.
Yep.
I'm one of them. Crime Stoppers. So this is not like a Crime Stoppers thing.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So the person that calls and there's a fine, would that person be asked to testify in court that they saw Charles LeBlanc yakking to somebody else, with somebody too close?
No, that's not what the intent is at all. The intent of that 1-800 line is simply one of information to allow for people to make sensible, common sense decisions. So as an example, just say for example, I don't know, I'll throw this out as an example because you brought it up. You talk about going to the bridge for a walk, right?
Yeah.
If on a beautiful Saturday day shift, nice day out, there's 400 or 500 people on the bridge at any one time, and the public called in and said, you know what? We encourage people to be out walking. It's good to go for a walk across the bridge. But that many people on the bridge at any given time is probably not smart. It's probably not in keeping with the directions we're trying to do. The response would not be to send the police over there to give people tickets. What it would be something as simple of putting a process in place whereby you could limit the number of people that went on the bridge at any given time. You could say people will walk on one side of the bridge going one way, and when they're all gone, someone will walk back on the other way, or limit people to go in groups of 2 with a distance in between them. So the intent is for the information to come in and for the response to be in keeping with what everyone's trying to do, is keep people away from each other. That's it. It's not intended to go and write out tickets and all that. The other thing too, Charles, I said this last night.
By the way, were you there last night, or did you do it by
I dialed in.
The what?
I phoned in.
You phoned in, okay. Go ahead.
So the other thing is, I have a certain number of people in the organization. I have 113 actually. And out of that 113, I have to make sure that I have a number of police officers that can respond to what I call core policing calls. And there are still things that are happening in the city. We still get calls for stolen
My God,
vehicles.
did they go? I'm sorry. Did the domestic dispute calls go up?
Not yet, but they will if this goes on over a long period of time.
Have your wife killed you yet?
Not yet.
No,
I
that's
have
right.
to
That's right.
do-
You go out. You go out. Okay, it's all right.
That's right. I got to go to work and go home, but things are well. But if we still have to, I still have to ensure that we have enough police officers to do our core policing duties. I also have to ensure that I manage this in the long term, because this is not like a flood, Charles. It's not like they say, you know what, the river's going to peak in 4 days and everything is going to be good. We don't know when this is going to peak.
No.
We don't know when this is going to subside. So that means I have to have things in place to keep some police officers isolation, some police officers healthy, so they can come in. If one of our members gets sick and you have to take a full shift off the road, I have to have a group to go to. So I have, this is not, and you'll see the Premier, like when Premier Higgs is dealing with this, you see that he hasn't gone down the road of heavy-handed with come out with fines and charge people. He did say that under emergency measures, there are provisions there to deal with people who are blatantly going against the directions of physical distancing. And if that's the case, we do have the authorities to deal with it.
Are your officers wearing masks?
Every one of them are equipped with masks. They all have them with them. They also have masks to give to people if they come in contact with them if they've been affected or feeling sick.
What? You trying to tell me
all-
when you arrest a drunk person, you're going to make sure you put the mask on first?
No, well, it depends on us. Our
Discretion,
members are-
discretion. Go ahead,
Absolutely,
sorry.
and common sense, right?
Yeah.
It's common sense. And, we also deal with it from decontamination. So if one of us are put in a position where we had to intervene so that you don't carry it forward, you come back to the station, you decontaminate, you clean the car, you clean the uniform, you put on another one, and you go back to work. If you are put in a position where you think you may be sick, then it's immediate isolation and check for symptoms like everybody else. The thing here, Charles, you know what this is about? Common sense and working together. And listen, I'm looking out my window here now. Very little traffic on the bridge. Very little traffic downtown. You look at stores that are closed, they're doing everything that they need to. You look at restaurants, they're not open. Takeouts, very rare. People are being responsible. The city is doing exactly what it's been asked to do. If you're on social media all the time, you see that there are different parts of Canada where people are not listening.
My
And
God, I couldn't believe what I see in Vancouver. Holy
Well, there you
mackerel.
go. So So I'm going to ask you a question now, because you're usually the one that asks all the questions. If you were in Vancouver and you saw that going on, would you not expect the police or government to intervene in some way?
Oh, big time.
To break up so that's important.
Especially when it's right next door to Seattle. Oh my God.
Right. And in Vancouver, they've had problems with facilities for elderly care. They had a big conference out there of so many thousand dentists where there was an infection, and then it started a bigger route. That's when you have to increase and I'm not saying enforcement from police.
So the bottom line, things are going good in Fredericton compared to other places. That's what you're saying. The population is smaller too.
Absolutely.
And
listen, the population are doing really well. You look at and I know it's probably too early to say, way too early, but you know what? Our numbers are what, at 17, and they've been there for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
They will, the testing is now being done locally in Moncton, so that.
Am I talking to a politician or am I talking to a chief?
I'm talking to the police chief.
This is like a briefing. They're briefing. We know what's going on there. Okay. Listen, let's go back to basic. You're the chief. You're not a politician. Not yet. Okay.
No, I will never.
Bullshit. Anyway, I think the way
mark that down.
Yeah, show gas. Can you? Oh, Charles, focus. Okay. Boy, that's right. Have you hung up on me yet? Okay.
No, not yet.
Listen, just like you don't like this word, the Rat Patrol. And we want to know how many fines they gave for no helmet, blah, blah, blah. And I'm proud to say that the cop told me that last year there was no fine given for no helmet. Could we know how many fines you're going to be given to people when this is all over?
Absolutely.
So we'll know how many and who and what amount?
Yep, no problem. But we haven't given any.
Not so far, so good.
Track. No, because we haven't needed to. But I'm going to tell you, if our numbers start to go out of control, and we see that the population are not, doing what they're supposed to do, then I have no problem responding accordingly. And if that means fines or closing down businesses, I won't feel one bit bad about doing that. And I think where that headline came out of the paper was, basically what I did say is that, we do have the authorities. If there's a need to intervene at that level, we can. But right now, and I'll tell you the exact term I used last night, was measured approach. A measured approach is you take the information, you look at it, you figure out whether it's substantiated, valid, or otherwise. You try to educate, you try to encourage, and then if that goes nowhere and you absolutely have to resort to enforcement, then I will, and then I would be able to justify those actions to you or any other media outlet without any issue whatsoever.
You're talking like a pure Trudeau 40 years later. Just watch me.
Just watch me.
Yeah, just watch me.
Only you and I can remember that moment.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, really. My 10 viewers, some of them might. Crystal Met. You see people high on crystal meth. How you gonna? They don't know. They don't know what's going on. There's a lot of people that are non-educated. How do you handle, especially people that's high on drugs?
You know what? That one I haven't figured out, to be frank. I'll tell you what we have done, or not we have done. I guess what the government have done, and you probably know this. Some of the houses that house some of those individuals with addiction issues and crystal meth otherwise, those houses are not built or set up to handle this. They're not set up with distancing and so on. I think they've actually started to work towards going to the schools that are not being used and using larger rooms in schools like a gymnasium to separate people and keep them apart so that they stay within the distancing themselves. Then if the first responders have to respond, whether it be paramedics, us, or whomever, when we respond, we don't have to worry about the distancing because people are all spread out across it. So there are people out there, us included and government, who are trying to figure out ways to deal with those issues. The other thing that is a little bit problematic, and you know this as well, people who are addicted to crystal meth, they're going to use it regardless. It's an addiction. The issue with us or everybody in that is the hospitals right now are they're in a vulnerable position. Their main role right now is to deal with this crisis that we're dealing with, and dealing with other issues. People have to stand in line, addictions being one of them. So again, we're all trying to figure out ways that we can work together, whether with, the addictions issues, the housing issues, the psychologists, the hospital, us, social workers, healthcare workers, to try and figure out how we can not bog down the primary healthcare system at a time when it's needed most.
You're talking like you're talking like a politician again. Okay, come on, focus, Roger. If you turn around,
you're a piece of work.
You hung up. You haven't hung up yet. Okay, good.
No.
Okay, good. It's okay. All good. So when you turn around tonight, I just hear that out of the cold shelter is shut down, and they're going to move it to the Fredericton High School.
Yeah, to the gymnasium.
So how do they expect people to go up there? That's like a politician question there. Maybe you might be comfortable with that one. How do people going to go up the hill?
I don't know. I have no idea.
No idea. Okay. That's
no, I don't. I have no idea if someone is on the street and they're got no way to get there. I guess a police car could bring them. I have no idea how how to get people. What I think people are trying to do is provide a place for them, not to be on the street and not in a crowded facility where if they are affected, they can pass it on, or if they're not affected, they could get it from them. Someone who's got it.
Fredericton High School is right beside McDonald's. McDonald's still open on Prospect?
Only for
coffee?
Yeah, takeout.
Takeout.
Not even takeout, drive-through, I think.
Drive-through.
Same at Tim Hortons.
They can't go inside?
No counter facilities. No.
Oh, really? My God, they'll be driving the customers going drive-through. Hey, man, can you buy me a coffee? Hey, man, can you buy me a coffee? How's that for social distance?
No, they won't. Listen, common sense.
Common
if
sense.
That happens, we'll deal with it.
The common sense. What you going to do? Are you hiring by any chance?
No. Why? You looking for a job?
Yeah, me and Fred was all side by side. No, don't answer that. Don't answer that at all. Okay.
No,
Yeah, Le Chiac and Québécois side by side. What I'm saying is, there's going to be a big flood around the corner.
Yes. You know what? That came up in one of our briefings this morning. We're looking 3 to 4 weeks before potential flood, so we got to start having that on our radar as well to see, how that's going to unfold in the middle of all this, because there's only so many resources.
Are you hiring?
So where do we go? Well, you know what? When the flood comes, I might need you. Yeah.
You might need me.
Are you going to work?
I'll be your new deputy, the deputy chief. What's his name again? Andy Griffith there. Don Knott. Yeah, the new fee at Don Knott.
You could be an executive assistant at a point when we flood.
Okay. Now, somebody send a message. I hope this doesn't go up your Newfie Eagle. I knew Roger Brown when he was RCMP, and he's a really good guy. My question would be, how is the force practicing social distancing, and what does that look in an arrest situation? And my next question would be, does he think the force will be called upon to enforce quarantine conditions? Are the members patrolling public place and sending people home? A lot of questions there.
Yeah, okay. Well, a couple of things. Social distancing in the station, absolutely. In the police station today, at any given time, we're probably no more than 10 in the entire building. The members on the road are on the road in a car by themselves. So, absolutely distancing within here, no problem whatsoever.
And an arrest situation?
In an arrest situation, we will deal with it in case by case. If we have to go in and arrest someone, we go in prepared. And that very well may be wearing gloves, wearing a mask, wearing protective clothing, depending on the situation and what it is. We've been involved in arrests a lot of times when we deal with people that have issues. It could be needle issues, it could be disease issues, whatever the case may be. We're trained to take precautions, and we will continue to do so. However, we can't let those precautions override our ability to do our job. So that's what we do. That's what we'll continue to do.
All that stuff that you're putting on, you still got your name tags?
Oh, yeah.
I don't trust somebody who come after me with a mask on and everything, and there's no name tags. I mean, I'm not naming no names, but...
No, we all have name tags. Matter of fact, I changed my name tag. Instead of saying Art Brown, it says Roger, so you know exactly who I am, and you don't have to worry about it.
Well, my God, are you doing like doing like the mayor? I almost said the word idiot, but anyway, Mayor
No,
Mike. And
don't
now you want what? Chief Roger?
No, it just says Roger Brown. That's my name.
That's your name. Your name is Roger. Roger. Okay. My next question would be quarantine. How can you enforce it?
How can I enforce? Well, what the thing is there, I think the last part of that question was, what am I going to do if we actually have to enforce it? Where do we put people? And the intent of that whole piece is to get people in self-isolation. It's not to actually take people, arrest them, and put them in a quarantine place anywhere, because that takes a whole different level of understanding. Where would you put people? How would you manage to do that? But we're not there yet. The point is, if we need to disperse large groups of people, if we need to keep people isolated, we have the authority to do that, and we'll do it if need be. And we're going to do whatever we can to ensure that, first of all, the province stays within the guidelines, and people within the province have a high level, I guess, of anticipation that this will not take over the province like it has over Europe and in some parts of the States, and actually in some parts of Canada. And we just got to do our part, and we're just players in that, like everybody else, trying to do our piece.
Are your officers afraid or concerned?
I don't think anyone is. I think everyone has a certain level of anxiety or fear, or whatever you want to call it. They're not afraid to a point where they won't go and do their job. They're concerned, obviously, for their own health and the health of their families, extended families and parents and so on. But, you can't be overly afraid either. If you go to a point where you're that paranoid,
you're in the wrong trade.
You're in the wrong business.
Yeah.
You got to be sensible in this, and I don't know if you did. I listened to the CBC last night, or CTV News, when they interviewed a doctor with the 20 most pertinent questions that are being asked about this virus, and every one of those questions all came back to the same thing, right? Properly washing your hands, not putting yourself in a position where you can get infected. If you are in an area, clean your clothes, clean everything, do what you got to do. Like, all those things are easy to do. All of us.
Okay. Politician again. Focus, Roger. Focus. Another question. In regards to the recent increase in the fine for panhandling, how does the chief anticipate? Man, this speech in Parliament is driving me nuts. How does the chief anticipate whatever this will help our current? Yes, will help our current homeless problem. In regards,
well, you know what? Trying to figure out the homeless problem in the middle of all this, I think, is a huge uptake.
I think the bottom line, Roger, is what a person knows that the cops know a person that's poor that got no money. They're not going to give them $1,000 fine. They know they can't pay it.
No, they're not. And what's the point? They're not going to pay it anyway, and we have nowhere to put them.
Yeah, because if they don't pay, they end up in jail for 3 months, 4 months. So that's what the concern is here.
No, that's not what's going to be the issue. You know what? And you know this. You're going to tell me I'm a politician again, but that's not true. We got to try and deal with the homeless issue from a different perspective. Right?
Yeah, okay.
We can't.
You are right.
We can't deal with that from fines and enforcement and think that we're going to solve homeless issues by giving people a fine.
Yeah, because I'm just concerned if it goes to court, because we know in New Brunswick there's no lawyers, politician again, but you turn around and say, the prosecutor say, Your Honor, this man put this society in great danger and going in public. Therefore, we must send a message that this will not be tolerated. And he has no lawyer, or she, and bingo, three months in jail.
Yeah, that's not the intent, Charles. You know that.
Okay.
We're trying to deal with that in a whole different way. And my big concern with homeless people right now?
What?
That they don't get infected. I don't want a homeless person getting this.
No.
Naturally, they would probably be a bit more vulnerable. Who knows? Maybe their healthcare system, their own personal health care is compromised to a certain extent. The last thing I want is, a person who's got enough issues on their plate to get the confidence, to pick up this and then to be a carrier and move it forward. So anything that we can do to help them get into a place where it's warm, where they're getting the proper food, and stay inside where they're not going to be vulnerable is the intent at this point in time, and moving forward.
Last question. Yeah, ask him what's he's charging them with after they are arrested. Yeah, that's a good question.
There's a couple. There's applicable code. There's applicable sections in the criminal code. Mischief being one, and where you willfully do something to harm harm or cause harm to others. And there's another. Obstruction is another one. If you're a police officer and you're enforcing your duties in a way that's lawful, and someone refuses to comply, there's obstruction as well. Those are summary conviction offenses. They're not offenses that are going to bring with them, large fines or jail time or anything. The intent of all that, Charles, is the same thing, right? The enforcement is only trying to get people to comply. For us, the bottom line is it's simple. You just want people, if there's a large group of people, you want them to disperse, you want them to go home and self-isolate and stay out of the public eye until we get this under control. And that's all we're going to try and do, if indeed it comes to that. But at this point in time, we have not arrested one person. We have not fined anybody because we haven't been put in a position where we actually need to do it. Because people, relatively speaking, are complying, relatively speaking, are doing what they need to do. And right now, I think the city and the province is actually doing as well as can be expected in trying to keep this under control.
What are you guys doing anyway? You must be bored. There's no cars, there's nobody walking, there's no bars.
Well, they're not bored.
No?
They're all out on the road. Nope, they're out on the road. You got to remember, too.
Doing what?
There's and you know this, Charles, there's an element out there, a criminal element out there that look for opportunities.
Yes.
And in a case like this...
Yeah, you see bloggers riding a bicycle with no helmet. Then that's the opportunity. Charles, focus. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Focus. But we have to stay focused. So if you've got people out there that are looking for crimes of opportunity, obviously break and enters in the homes is not as big an issue right now because most people are home, so they're not going away and leaving their doors unlocked and the like. That's not as much of an issue. But there are other areas that we are watching closer because some businesses are closed, some large stores are closed, and so our patrols are focused on that. Our patrols are focused on helping people that need help. Some people in case like this panic. They're scared. They're elderly. They don't know what to do, and their response is to call the police. So oftentimes we can handle those by on the phone and not necessarily having to be with them. If we have to go see them, we'll go. A lot of people when they're home all the time, they tend to see things that they wouldn't normally see, and sometimes that in their mind is suspicious. So we get calls of what they believe to be suspicious activity, but in actual fact, all it is could be someone out for a walk, could be at midnight because they're sick and tired of being in the house and they go for a walk. And what seems to be suspicious is really not, but then we get involved. And so we're just, the members are out there on patrol, they're being present, they're dealing with things that need to be done, and off we go.
So you guys are sort of playing the role of psychologists also, which you always did. But I mean, this That's really, right. When people call, you say people are scared.
Well, here's an issue, and I think we had a chat with that within the organization the other day. First responders, Charles, in this case, is not the police, right? The first responders here are healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, paramedics, and the like. Our role, ironically enough, is we now support the healthcare workers in doing their job, And our role right now is more of being peacekeepers than we actually are being, first responders and enforcers. And being peacekeepers, what that means is when the public are in need of help in whatever form that takes, then we do what we can to assist. And it's a different role for us. It's a bit of a role reversal. We just have to do it. And like I said in the beginning when we started chatting, we just got to make sure that we're in this for the long haul. That we have the ability. If this goes on for 3, 4, 5 weeks, and we do end up with, like happened in Montreal, as you know, a couple of Montreal City police officers got infected or got tested positive, which means on one day they lost 100 police officers off the road and put them in isolation and the like. That's a whole different game for everybody. And so I've got to look at this from the long term. I've got to be in a position to be able to respond long term and keep people safe and healthy as long as I can, so that when the time comes where our job shifts, for whatever that looks like, and that could be the flood, who knows? We could have to respond to that in a different way, and we will, and we're ready to do it.
Have I missed anything?
No, you just missed seeing me, but we'll do that when this gets better.
We'll have coffee. We'll have coffee and a Boston cream.
Boston cream and a double-double.
Roger, thank you very much. Keep the fine work. Don't know how long it's going to last until I get pissed off. But Charles, focus. It's very good. So you're very proud of the way the city is going. The citizens are paying attention. And if they want to walk, they could walk.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's what people should do, is go out and walk.
Perfect.
Thanks a lot, Roger.
Keep in touch.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, not bad. So I answered a lot of my questions. So the bottom line here, you got a dog, you got a pet, or you got a partner, go out for a walk. Just stay 6 feet away from somebody, and everything is all right. Enjoy this vacation. And for Roger, thanks a lot.